Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
It took Brett Favre a couple retirements and a shoulder surgery before he finally decided that he was going to give it a true go in the middle of August last season as he became the Vikings' instant starting quarterback. And man, what a season he had. People were thinking, well, hey, and I even thought this guy, hey, I think he's going to be a great compliment to this team. Really good game manager, if you will. Maybe he'll throw a low 20 touchdown total and let Adrian Peterson and Chester Taylor kind of run the show on the ground, and he'll just go in and just manage the team and this and that. Well, everybody was dead wrong. And not only was everybody dead wrong, but Brett Favre went out and threw more. He threw 33 touchdown passes. He hasn't thrown that many touchdown passes or around that. He hasn't thrown that since 1997. He threw 4,202 yards passing. The last time he threw over 4,200 yards was in 1998. So, these numbers were ridiculous for him. I mean, not only did he have a great season, but he did things he hasn't done since the late 90s, for crying out loud. This was a great season for Brett Favre. You can't say enough about it. He really did show people, hey, he can still play this game. This really was a perfect fit for him as he went in where, he had a coordinator that was running the same offense that he was used to. He had a good offensive line. He had a great running game that defenses had to respect. He got to play in a dome where he had nice weather, obviously because you're in that dome. And it turns out that he, once again, Brett made another receiver into a fantasy stud and an NFL star in Sidney Rice. Asante Shenko had 11 touchdowns. Percy Harvin justified that pick with the Vikings taking him with their first pick in 2009 in the draft. A lot of people questioned that pick, and they justified that pick all the way, and no one was questioning that pick after just a couple games into the season. It was clear to see that Percy Harvin was a very good pick for this team, and Brett Favre had nice chemistry with him. Well, I'd say the only guy that really was a disappointment on this team with Brett Favre's arrival was probably the guy who was projected to be the number one receiver for the team, and that was Bernard Berrian, as he kind of just got left out in the shuffle. But it's easy to see why with those other talents that were out there and the niches that they filled. Berrian's still a good player, and he's still there, but he's just kind of lost in the shuffle. But Brett has got so many weapons on this team right now. He's such a good option to have for fantasy, and it looks like he is definitely coming back. With the ankle surgery that he had, he's geared to come back. Obviously, I couldn't suggest that he's going to come back and put together 33 touchdowns and 4,200 yards passing, because we haven't seen him do that again since, the 90s, for crying out loud. But he's going to be good. I think at least high 20 touchdowns. He should get close to 4,000 yards passing, But Brett is still a very good quarterback, and that's why he's right there in the top 10 quarterbacks. And again, this is one of the deepest classes because of him being with this team, because, we still have guys like Donovan McNabb and even an Eli Manning coming out of the woodwork last year. Just so many guys. This really is the deepest class of quarterbacks for fantasy football that should get you around 30 touchdowns passing and 4,000 yards receiving. So go for Favre, look for him. He's not going to be the first quarterback to be taken this year. He is going to be probably a good productive player for you to have at a cheap price.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football.